fossil fuels. I do actually care about the environment. I'm looking into getting a new laptop, and I'm looking at a laptop that has sustainable materials like recycled aluminum and stuff like that. I'm very excited. My laptop is 8 years old, so it's time to go. All right. So the last time that we were here, we were talking about different types of motion perception, and we talked a little bit about the aperture problem, and now we are kind of talking about J.J. Gibson's theory of optic flow. And as I kind of mentioned before, optic flow is basically a pattern of light that kind of falls on your retina, and it changes as you are moving through your environment. Okay. And as I kind of mentioned, we can get a pretty good idea of where we are heading by paying attention to things like optic flow. So we have what is called a focus of expansion. So I am kind of going back a little bit. So a focus of expansion, as we're kind of moving through the world, it's going to stay motionless, but all of the information in the world is going to kind of radiate out from that focus of expansion. The example that I gave in class on Tuesday is if you are an airplane pilot and you're trying to land a plane. As a friendly reminder, J.J. Gibson did a lot of work with airplane pilots during World War II. A lot of early cognitive psychologists were doing those kind of things at the time. So the focus of expansion will stay motionless, but all of the environmental information is going to radiate outward from that focus of expansion. And the rest of the visual field will move away from that point. Things that are farther away from that focus of expansion will move much more quickly out of view. Now, what's interesting, as we're moving towards something, things are going to move away from that focus of expansion. If we move backwards, the focus of expansion is actually going to go inwards rather than outwards. So new aspects as we are heading towards something are going to radiate out from that focus. Whenever you change directions, there will be a shift in your focus of expansion. So if I change directions and move from here over to here, my focus of expansion is basically going to move in lockstep with my motions. And then finally, the focus of expansion provides you a few different things. First of all, it very obviously tells you about the direction in which you're moving. The rate at which things radiate out of the focus will tell you how fast you're going. And remember that because we're talking about a theory that was originally tested on airplane pilots, we also are going to get information about altitude. There's trash on the floor. It's not mine. And of course, every time I talk about trash, I think about Forky from Toy Story 4. I'm trash. Huh? It was okay. It was also unnecessary. It was fun, but unnecessary. Okay. So one of the other things that we are going to talk about is perceiving human motion. So we obviously know that objects can move, but humans also move. And one of the things that we're going to notice is that humans move in a very distinctive sort of way. Like biological motion in general is very different from other types of motion. So how good are we actually detecting? How good are we at detecting actual biological motion, even when viewing conditions are poor? And one of the ways that we do this are what are known as point light displays. So obviously, if you're watching somebody walk around, you will get a very clear view of biological motion. The shoulders will sway a certain way. The hips will move a certain way, the legs will move a certain way. But we're talking about poorer viewing conditions. So with point light displays, we only highlight very specific points of light. And in particular, we only have 6 different lights that are available. So I'm going to go ahead and pause recording on this because I am about to share a YouTube video. We're going to look at a couple of different examples of point light displays so that you can see how easy it is to identify biological motion. Resume recording. So we can actually, so in those point light displays, we definitely had more than 6 lights, obviously. But when we only have 6, we're still pretty good at identifying different types of biological motion. And that's even true when the film is short, very similar to some of the films that we saw. We can identify the sex of the actor there. Although I think gender might be a little bit more critical here than sex, but what we know is that based on the build of a person, like generally people who are assigned female at birth walk very differently than people who are assigned male at birth. So with people who are assigned female at birth, you get more side-to-side motion in the hips. Compare that to people who are assigned male at birth, you're going to see a lot more shoulder movement. Now, obviously, it's not a perfect metric. Like there are people like me who exist who are considerably broader shouldered than most. And that is going to modify your walk. But in general, you're going to see more swing in the lower half for people who are assigned female at birth. You're going to see a more of an upper body swing in people who are assigned male at birth, and people can still tell the difference in these point light displays. So now we're going to talk about very briefly, although I probably go into a little bit more detail than your book does, because I talk about this in my cognitive psych class. We're going to talk about what happens when objects attack. Don't spend much time looking at this picture. I think you'll realize what's happening. Somebody's getting hit in the face with a bat. Yeah, exactly. So when we're talking about object motion, obviously a very important part of being able to identify object motion is to think about instances in which we are having something coming to us. So for example, I can't tell you how many times I've had to brace myself because my dog is so happy to see me that he is going to run right into me. Or we have softball players here. Obviously, you do not want to get hit with a softball in the face or in the arm or really anywhere. Where would be the worst place to get hit with a softball? The head? The noggin? Jenna, has that happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been hit in the face with a basketball before, and that was bad enough. Oh. So when we're talking about things coming to us, that's another case where noticing object motion is going to be really important. And in particular, what we are trying to perceive is something called time to contact, or TTC. So how do we figure out how quickly an object is moving towards us? Now, if Dr. Hyland were here, and remember, he's a physicist, he's going to tell you that for you to figure out the rate at which an object is traveling towards you, you need to do this based on the object's distance from you and the object's speed. And you might have to do some calculus to figure out the rate of change. Now, is this something that you and I can do relatively quickly? I haven't done calculus in like 10 years. That's not appropriate. But even somebody with a background in calculus is not going to be able to figure that out quickly. So we could do this, but we don't have that kind of time. And the truth of the matter is we probably don't. It has been suggested by sensation and perception researchers and cognitive psychologists that instead, what we calculate is something called tau. tau is basically figuring out time of contact based on some easy proxies for distance and speed. In particular, we're going to focus on the current size of the image on our retina, which is going to be taken as a proxy for distance, and then the rate of its expansion, obviously, as something gets closer to us, the larger it gets on our retina, right? So as I move closer to you, the more space you take up on my retina. You are not becoming giant. I am just decreasing my distance. So this is a case where if an object is coming towards you, it is going to be expanding on your retina. And we can use that rate of expansion as a proxy for speed. So we're using some really crude metrics of distance and speed to help us figure out how quickly something is going to reach us. Now, here's what's really critical. We are going to assume that this is happening at a constant velocity. That means no accelerations, no decelerations. If we have a sudden acceleration, we're probably going to underestimate, or we're going to overestimate the time we have. If we have a sudden deceleration, we are probably going to overestimate or underestimate how much time we have. Okay, so here are some problems with tau though. Again, we are assuming a constant velocity. The problem is that object velocity often accelerates. Okay, I'm going to do this, but I have a couple of cans in here, so I want to remove them before, in case they explode. This bag is heavier than it looks. There's a tuba mouthpiece in here. What? I have your face. That's my own. This is my personal mouthpiece. I'm not using a random mouthpiece that somebody else slobbered all over. I have my own. But I'm gonna drop this bag. Now, here's the thing. That was not traveling at a constant velocity. Why not? Because of gravity. Gravity provides an acceleration. And the problem is we are assuming a constant velocity when the truth of the matter is that object velocity typically is not constant. Gravity is a really good example. We are always dealing with changes in acceleration or deceleration due to gravity. Here's the other problem. Tau is based on time to contact with your eyes. Now, we also do things like time to contact when we're driving a car. Here's the problem. If you are basing your driving on time to contact with your eyes, what is going to happen to you? You crash, exactly. Because you'll be like, oh, wait, I don't have to brake yet. Oh, no. Where did the front nose of my car go? We don't want that to happen. So obviously for things like driving, we are going to have to make some corrections based on this. Additionally, tau works only for symmetrical spheres. So it's great for softballs. It's great for basketballs. It's great for baseballs. It is probably not good for footballs. It is definitely not good for plushies or water bottles or backpacks or pillows. Although pillows are pretty symmetrical, but they're not spherical. Additionally, the change in the image and in its rate of expansion must be noticeable. If it's not noticeable, you can't do this. It has to be a very obvious change. Yes.
Would size also impact that?
How so?
So if you were, say, watching an arrow,
Yeah.
Would you be able to like see that? Would that be noticeable? Or like BB guns?
Okay, Tau is probably not gonna work with a BB gun or a bullet. Those are probably moving too quickly and are probably too small to the eye for you to see. An arrow might, it depends on the nature of said arrow. Are we talking a Nerf gun arrow? Then yes. If we are talking about a tiny little dart from a dart gun, probably not. Also, arrows are not symmetrical spheres, so this might be a little tricky. I mean, to be fair, I don't think this would work very well with airsoft guns. And those are also things that shoot symmetrical spheres, but they're also quite tiny. So this obviously is going to need to happen with something that's sufficiently large for you to notice those changes. If it's too small, this may not work. So it won't work with a BB gun.
Would this also be affected by like eyesight? So like if you have 20/20 vision?
Yeah, like if I don't have my glasses on, if I don't have my contacts in or my glasses on, this isn't gonna work with time to contact. It's way too blurry for me to notice. So obviously this would be contingent upon normal or corrected to normal vision. I would also say this probably works best when viewing conditions are ideal. This will probably not work very well if you're like trying to play softball in torrential rain. Okay. So, researchers have actually looked at this by giving people an opportunity to catch balls that were either rapidly accelerating or decelerating. And based on Tau, remember that because we are assuming a constant velocity, anything that suddenly decelerates, we're going to try to grab it before it's reached us. On the other hand, if it suddenly rapidly accelerates, we're going to miss it because it's not time to grab it yet. So when velocity is assumed constant, with accelerating balls, we overestimate the time we have. And with decelerating balls, we underestimate the time we have. So they actually looked at this by changing the rate of expansion by having people catch balls that are suddenly deflating. So they're going to slow down a little bit and their rate of expansion is going to drop. Deflating balls have a lower rate of expansion and people take more time than necessary to grab those. As a result, people think that despite all of the limitations for Tau, it's actually a pretty solid metric. But remember, this is only going to work in a very limited set of circumstances. If I got mad at one of you and threw my shoe, this would not work. My shoe is not a symmetrical sphere. Also, I would never throw my shoe at you. So what about vertical drops? Vertical drop, like most of the time when we're talking about things that are coming into contact with us, we're talking about horizontal throws in this case. But what about vertical drops? This one's a little bit trickier because anytime that we are dealing with a vertical drop, we are getting acceleration due to gravity. And what we actually end up finding is that when people have to catch vertically dropping balls, they do better than Tau would predict. Because again, Tau is assuming a constant velocity. It should not be able to take into account acceleration change due to gravity. But it turns out you and I are capable of taking gravity into account when we catch things. So Tau doesn't explain everything. And apparently you and I have a built-in factor to account for gravity. Now, additionally, I think that, Sarah, I think you were kind of hitting on this a little bit with things related to eyesight. Obviously, if we have problems with our binocular disparity, we're not going to be able to make the depth and distance judgments necessary to be able to catch things appropriately. We know that familiar size judgments also influence how we catch these. Remember that if you have knowledge of the size that an object is supposed to be, you're going to have an easier time catching something if you already know what the size is. So I know what size a softball is. I'm probably going to have an easier time catching that than some random object that I've never encountered before. Does anybody need some more time here? Lauren, do you need more time here? Okay. All right, so now we're gonna do a little demonstration. We're gonna look at each other's eyeballs. Yay. I'm sorry if eyeballs are not your favorite thing. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go you don't have to look at each other's eyeballs right now, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out a scrap piece of paper and I want you to draw a circle on it, like this. Just do it.
Actually, I might have paper.
Here, I Dylan. Does anybody want to share paper or pencils with people? It doesn't matter. Well, I would say like, how about a moderate simple? Let me get something. Let me take a look and see. Okay, that maybe a little smaller than that, maybe just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. Try to keep to the picture. Because at some point it's too big and it's not going to work. What did you do? If you try on your phone and use your fingers, that would actually work really well. Go ahead and use your circle. So here's what we need. We need something with a circle on it and something that is long and pointy, like a pencil, a pen, your index finger. Please don't pick your middle finger. That is not appropriate for this class. Yeah, fill in the circle too. Color it in. Color it in.
Color it in.
Color it in. Fill in your circle, please.
In the lines.
Okay. Well, it doesn't match the picture because yours is pink, but it'll do. I'm teasing. You don't want to like. Okay. All right. I promise this has a point. So we're gonna do two different things here. So we're gonna do two different things here. So the first thing that I want you to do, so what you're gonna have to do, does everybody have their circles and pencils ready? Okay, Lauren, I'm gonna borrow yours really quick. So here's what you're gonna do, and you might want to stand up for this in front of your paper like this, but we're gonna do two different things. So you're gonna look, basically what you're gonna do is you are going to drag your pencil or your pen or your other pointy object across the paper, but depending on the circumstances, you are gonna change your focus. So the first time you do this, I want you to focus on the dot. The second time that you do this, I want your eyes to actually follow your pencil or your pointy object. So drag your paper across drag your pen across the paper like this. And the first time that you do it, focus on the dot. Keep your eyes on the dot as you move your pencil across the paper. The second time that you do this, your eyes should follow the pencil instead of being focused on the dot, okay? Now, I know that's a really silly demonstration, but one of the things that you're gonna notice is that you get two very different sensations when you do this. So, many of you were probably noticing the pencil as you moved it across when you were focusing on the dot, but you saw it kind of fading in different spots. So you would get smaller little images like this. Now, on the other hand, when you're focused on the pencil, you can actually see the smooth movement of the pencil. So you're going to get two very different experiences based on what your focus is.
Is it because of how your eye tracks?
Yes, it is it has everything to do about eye tracking here.
It
Okay.
makes me think of how when cops pull you over and they test to see your eye, when you're on marijuana, your eye will be like.
They're checking for nystagmus.
Yeah.
They're checking for nystagmus. Okay, so what happened? So in the first case, we were focusing on the dot. You can see the movement of the pencil in different positions. But in the second case, we are actually doing what is called smooth pursuit. We are actually following the movement of the pencil with our eyes. Did it work for you, Haley?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So you're going to get a difference. In one case, you're tracking them, you can see the movement, and the other, the movement is less noticeable because you're actually following with your eyes as the movement occurs. I don't know why it picked this. I think it's because I used the word pencil, so it gave me a Scantron. I don't ask questions. I just go, oh, that looks pretty. And then I put it on there. So in the case of smooth pursuit, if you were engaging in smooth pursuit of the pencil, what you might actually notice is that the image of the dot on the retina would actually move similarly to how the pencil did the first time. But because you weren't really focused on the dot, you were focused on the pencil, you might not have caught that. Okay. So why was the pencil moving, but the dot was stationary? I know one of them was moving, the other one wasn't, but it's more complicated than that. So part of the reason that this happens is because of eye movements, and I'm gonna fix this because it's a little off. Here we go. So this happens because of eye movements. So in the second case, when you were actually following the pencil with your eyes, you are engaging and executing a voluntary eye movement. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about physiology. Oh, what just happened? We're talking about physiology, and the computer keeps doing weird stuff. I'm worried. Every time I try to move the mouse, it moves the screen. What is happening? Oh, it's that's happening. Dylan, Dylan, Jenna, I'm getting a flashback to health psych. Not again. I can't believe that was last year. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about eye movements now, because if we're talking about motion, oftentimes our eyes are going to track with moving objects. So we're going to talk a little bit about the physiology of our eyes, the ways that we have muscles that are equipped to help us move our eyes around. So you actually have 6 different muscles that are attached to each of your eyes, and they are arranged in pairs. So we have 3 pairs of muscles for each of your eyes. And the part of the brain that is really critical for this is an area in the midbrain known as the superior colliculus. So let's go ahead and take, oh gosh, this is obnoxious. Okay. So here are, oh gosh. Yeah, it's being really weird today. I don't think it likes me today. I feel like I should just not touch it. Okay, so here we actually have our 6 pairs of muscles on the eye. If I'm nice, will it pop back up? Please? Will you please? Oh. Cool, I think I broke it. Come on. This is ridiculous. Okay. I'm gonna pause this I'm gonna close out of this really quick if it'll let me. Because I don't know what's going on here.
Just have projectors type the screen, right?
You know, it clearly went to Panama City and had a party with its projector friends. Okay. Okay, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. Okay. So here we have our 6 different muscles for each eye, as you can kind of see, and they are kind of organized in these orthogonal pairs. So one of the things that you'll kind of notice, we have over here, we have some oblique muscles. So we have our inferior oblique and we have our superior oblique right here. In addition to this, we have 2 lateral rectus muscles on each side, and then we also have an inferior and a superior rectus. So we have obliques. We have 2 pairs, we have 1 pair of obliques, superior and inferior. We have a lateral rectus and we have a medial rectus along with a superior and an inferior. I will not test you on the muscles nor their locations. Just know that anytime that you've ever rolled your eyes at somebody or looked to the left or looked to the right, you can very thankfully, or rolled your eyes in a circle like I am trying to do right now, you can thank all of these different muscles. Okay, so interestingly enough, so here we have our ocular muscles that I mentioned, and they actually have a very extensive network of brain areas that process these different movements. I am not going to test you on these, but I want you to kind of see how extensive this network is. So here we have our eye muscles. They are going to make contact with the lateral geniculate nucleus of the thalamus. This information is going to be sent to primary visual cortex. They're going to be sent to areas like the frontal eye fields and the frontal lobe, areas like the lateral intraparietal region, the posterior parietal cortex. Additionally, here is the superior colliculus of the midbrain. This is going to make contact with areas like the midbrain and the pons of the brainstem as well. So this is a very wide interconnected network that helps regulate some of our eye movements. So in particular, the midbrain and the midbrain and brainstem eye movements are often going to be for very reflexive things that so if somebody calls your name, your eyes are going to turn towards them. Or as another kind of example, there are different types of eye movement reflexes that you and I have that we do. The brainstem and the midbrain are largely going to be in charge of those. And then we're going to have areas like the frontal eye fields and the lateral intraparietal region for those more voluntary movements that are not reflexive in nature. Really, the big take-home message here, it's a pretty big network that helps regulate these, including the visual system. So there are different types of eye movements that you and I can do. Now, we've already kind of talked about smooth pursuit. If you've ever been to visit a neurologist, one of the things that they're actually going to have you do is they're going to watch you engage in smooth pursuit. They're going to move their finger around and you're going to have to track it. We're also going to talk about what are known as saccades. And we're also going to talk about what are called microsaccades. So saccades can be either voluntary or they can be involuntary. This is when our eyes rapidly change their location from one focus to another. Probably the biggest time that we're going to see saccades are when we are reading. You and I like to imagine that our eyes follow smoothly as we read from line to line in a text. They don't actually do that. Saccades are very jerky, ballistic movements. And we engage in saccades when we read. So you can kind of see this here in this little picture that I provided. When you read, your eyes do not smoothly travel over the print. They make short jumping movements called saccades. These eye movements must be made quickly, sequentially, and accurately so the words come to the brain in the proper order. So we don't actually smoothly move our eyes over text. We make these little jerky movements from word to word. Yes. Sometimes. We also have what are called microsaccades. Microsaccades are involuntary, small, little jerky movements. And even if you are trying to hold your eyes completely still, you will still occasionally engage in these small microsaccades. Another set of eye movements that we do are what are known as vergence. So vergence is when the eyes move in opposite directions. So with convergence, the eyes are going to move inward. Convergence is often more likely when we're focusing on objects that are really close to us, like right in front of our nose. Divergence is when the eyes move outward. This is typically going to happen if we are focusing on objects that are distant from us. And saccades are often going to be voluntary. Vergence often is as well. All right. Yeah, I know some of those different. Are you trying to move those eyes in the directions in the picture? I'm trying to do the one on the top where one is down and one is up. I can't do it without my eyelids doing something. I don't think it's going to work. So just as a reminder for you, quizzes are back on this week, although a little earlier than some of you supposed. If you haven't completed quiz 6, it is technically due Tuesday at 5 o'clock. So don't forget quiz 6. Quiz 7, since it's already open because I forgot to push the date forward, you can take quiz 7 as well, but that's not going to be due until the following Tuesday. As a reminder, we are going to have a project work day on Tuesday. We're going to meet in the psychology lab, and we are going to collect data on our psychophysics project. So over the weekend, that would be a good time if you need materials for your project to really work on getting those materials together. Okay, back to saccades. So many of you have heard of the term ballistic. So we're not talking about the ballistic where somebody gets really upset. We're talking about ballistic as in a ballistic missile. It is a pattern of movement, and saccades are ballistic in nature. Basically, when something is ballistic, that means once it is initiated, it cannot be undone. So much as a ballistic missile cannot be changed its direction once it fires, once a saccade is initiated, its direction cannot be changed. So if you misdirect, you're going to have to wait until that saccade is over and then reorient yourself to the proper focus. Each saccade is going to last about 20 to 30 milliseconds when we're reading, and they're going to be separated by these periods of fixation. Now, when we're reading, fixations are going to be the way that we get our information. So fixations are how we get information. So we'll do this period of a quick saccade with a longer fixation and then another saccade. Generally, if we are talking about reading, this is going to be about 8 letters or spaces per saccade. So no, you don't technically read every single word. Yes, your eyes glance over a word, but you do not necessarily fixate on every single word that you see on a page. Okay. So one of the other things that we find with saccades and fixations is that our saccades are asymmetrical. So English is a language where we read from the left over to the right. So what we actually find is that with our fixations extend, our field of view basically extends 3 to 4 letters to the left of fixation and up to 15 letters to the right. So we have more room in our fixation for the right side of text than the left side of text. Now, if we were in a language where we read from right to left, such as in Hebrew, this would be reversed. So we focus more on the left, or we focus more on the right component of our field of view because English is a language in which we read from left to right. Everybody good? Okay. So when we're actually reading, what sort of things do we fixate on? So what you're looking at here is eye movements that are made during reading. So one of the ways that we can actually test this is with something called eye tracking. So eye tracking, you basically get fitted with these little goggles that have little cameras on them that track your eyes as they read through text. And what you were kind of noticing are the different saccades, and then the big points are areas of fixation. So you can kind of see the saccades and the fixations. Does anybody notice anything interesting about these patterns of saccades and fixations? What do you notice here that's kind of interesting? Just tell me something interesting you see here. Yeah, Sarah. Okay. Okay. So we don't necessarily get a straight line. What else do you notice? Sometimes we have to go backwards. So the knight attacked the windmill on his donkey. So is the windmill on his donkey or is the knight on his donkey? We might have to do that. One of the other things that you'll notice is that we have a couple of words we don't actually fixate on at all. And what we actually find is that with fixations, 80% of the time they're major content words. 20% basically are function words like the, and. We actually spend more time on major nouns and verbs than we do articles. Okay. And one of the other things that we find is that this doesn't just occur with reading. We also find that our eyes move as we do different things in a scene. So you can kind of see here some instances where you can see saccades and eye tracking for visual scenes. This is something that we also do with faces. Most human beings do not look like Now, I'm somebody that is not neurotypical, so I already don't really look at people in the eyes. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just really uncomfortable. But one of the things that we find is that people who are neurotypical, when they're viewing faces, they will actually make saccades. In particular, they tend to make a triangle between the eyes and the nose, and sometimes the mouth. And what we find is that with people who are not neurotypical, you're not always going to see those exact same patterns of eye fixation. Now, we're going to try another demonstration. So go back to your dot. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your left eye, and I want you to look at the dot that you drew on that piece of paper or on your phone or wherever. Now, what I'd like you to do is make some saccades with your right eye to the left and to the right of the dot. So basically do some saccades on that dot. Now, here's my question. When you did that, is the dot moving or is it stationary as you're kind of making those saccades? Is the dot moving or is it stationary? Who said that it was moving? Who said that it was stationary? Good, it should be stationary. Now, I want you to close your left eye, but I want you to jiggle your right eye with your finger as you view the dot. Go ahead and jiggle it. Commence to jiggling. Your eye. Your eye. Okay. Huh? Yeah, poke your eye and move it around a little bit. Okay, so did the dot move? It should have a little bit. Okay, so what is this sorcery? So when I made you actually physically move your eye, the dot moved, but when you voluntarily moved your eye back and forth across the dot didn't move, despite the fact that your eyes are actually moving. The dot should be moving too, but it doesn't. This is what is known as saccadic suppression. So during a saccade, your visual acuity is temporarily suppressed. And that's especially from the magnocellular pathway. So the magnocellular cells actually temporarily suppress your visual acuity. So here's part of the reason that they do this. During a saccade, items can potentially blur or smear on the retina, especially if they are moving. So saccadic suppression actually prevents that visual smear or blur from being perceived. So if you turn your head or your eyes really quickly, some of you are moving right now, but my eyes and my brain are engaging in temporary suppression of your motion so that I don't make myself sick perceiving a visual blur. Kind of cool. Now we're going to do one more demonstration. So this you're going to need a partner for. For the first part, I'd like you to grab a mirror, put the selfie part of your camera on your phone, like pull up the selfie, make a few saccades, and see if you can see your eyes moving as you make a saccade. Go ahead and give it a try. So get a mirror, grab your phone, try to make a few saccades and see if you can actually track your eye movements as you do so. If anybody is successful at noticing their eye movements as they make a saccade, raise your hand. You are probably not going to be able to do that because of saccadic suppression. Now, once you've done that, I want you to make saccades with your eyes as one of your classmates watch. And I want the classmate to confirm with you that your eyes were actually moving. So you got to look into each other's eyes a little bit. Get to know each other. It's fine.
Yeah, I figured out how to watch myself. I took a video.
You did? Yeah, but you didn't see it in the moment.
But there.
You just like go over my face and move it over and line.
Yeah, you see it, it's the camera. That's weird.
You're not gonna be able to watch it while it happens. You might be able to capture it on film, but you're not gonna see it as it happens. You're just not. Were you able to? I've tried to do it in the mirror. It doesn't work.
The camera's delayed.
Oh, maybe.
That's what
I'm like, I have a makeup mirror if you want to borrow it. And if you really want to give yourself like some fun, somebody pull out a book and watch somebody read. You don't have to do it right now, but do it later. Okay.
Have you ever seen people that move their eyes super smoothly?
Yeah, that's called smooth pursuit. Oh. Okay, so why doesn't, so folks, this is kind of weird, right? You can't watch your own eye movements as they're happening, and we have a temporary suppression of our visual acuity as we're moving our eyes. And y'all, have you met each other? Your eyes move all the time. And as I kind of mentioned, we even make involuntary movements when we're trying to hold our eyes still. So you might have the following question. We're engaging in saccadic suppression a lot. Why does this not hurt our ability to function? I can imagine where something like this would make driving very difficult. But here's the thing. It's possible that because we're suppressing the motion that we see during a saccade, you might expect items to suddenly appear to be displaced. So if Sarah is sitting all the way over there, and then she suddenly comes to the other side of the classroom and I make a saccade, I might have the sensation that Sarah suddenly just popped up out of nowhere. But this doesn't happen. And one of the reasons that we think that it doesn't happen is because when you are making a saccade, your eye muscles are actually moving. And one explanation that has been proposed about why this saccadic suppression doesn't hurt our ability to visually move through our world is because you get two copies of the order to make a saccade that are sent. One is sent to your eye muscles to actually execute the movement, and the other is sent to what is called a visual comparator. The comparator is basically going to compare the image that you see and the signals for motor motion. And basically, your brain is going to basically compensate for any image changes to basically engage in motor movements to catch up. All right, so there are some other ways that we compensate for different types of eye movements. So this was something that Hermann von Helmholtz actually looked at. And in case you don't remember that much about Helmholtz, remember that he's one of the people that's responsible for the trichromacy theory of color, that basically our perception of color is based on the combination of three different lights: red, blue, and green. And Helmholtz basically said that your brain can actually compensate for changes that you notice in the visual environment due to the saccades you make. And researchers have theorized different ways that this can happen. And so one of the ways that this can happen is that your receptive fields can remap in lockstep if your point of fixation shifts. So what we mean by that they're going to stay in lockstep is that if I have a receptive field right here, when I focus here, and I move my eyes over here, that receptive field is going to shift relative to the point of fixation, but it's ultimately going to stay the same relative to the fovea. Additionally, another suggestion that has been made is that the receptive fields in our frontal eye fields can very briefly shift to a new location in advance of the eye movement. So if I know that I'm going to make an eye movement this way, my receptive fields through my frontal eye fields can move that way in advance and basically predict the compression of space and where the receptive field should be before the saccade actually occurs. This is probably the most complicated part of the lecture today. You've been so busy looking at dots and pencils and jiggling your eyeball. I hope you enjoyed it because we're going to start talking about hearing next week. So I hope you enjoyed all of our discussion of vision because it is now over. You're not over, computer. The monitor keeps flickering. Stop that. No, quit it. All right, everybody good? Okay. So here's an example of what that would look like. So let's say that we were looking at this particular image, and here's our point of fixation right here, which is marked by the star. And then we have some receptive fields over here. So one of the things that we could do is that if our eyes move, our receptive fields can basically shift in lockstep relative to the fovea. So here are our original receptive fields. Here's our original point of fixation. If we move that toward the left, what you're going to notice is that the orientation of these three receptive fields is going to shift also over to the left. Notice too that it's relatively similar to the point of fixation and the distance from the fovea. So even though we've shifted those receptive fields, they're still in the same relationship to the point of fixation that they were previously. They're just in a different point of fixation at this point. Now, another thing that we can do is that we can have that transient shift. So here's our original point of fixation. Here are our original receptive fields, and we know we're going to fixate over here. So what we can do is that they can transiently remap towards the new point. So they'll move over to the left, and then they'll move down a little bit. Notice that in this case, they're slightly closer to the point of fixation, but this could be an opportunity to kind of correct for the change in space as we make that saccade toward the left. So there are a couple of different ways this can happen that have been theorized. And we probably do both of these. So now we're going to finish up with I have one more slide and we'll call it a day. We'll talk about the development of motion perception. Now, one of the things that I really tried to impress upon you when I was talking about this section, remember we talked about stereo vision and how it develops relatively early. It develops within the first 3 months of life. Motion is a little bit more complicated with respect to its development. So we do know that some abilities do develop early. We know that infants do show some reflexive eye movements at birth. They develop what is called an optokinetic nystagmus, or an OKN. Basically, if you see an object moving in your field of view, your eyes are going to orient toward it. Like, how many of you have seen that where an object moves and you can't not help but look at it? That is a case of an optokinetic nystagmus. Infants develop that relatively early on. Additionally, we do know that neurons in the primary visual cortex are already orientation and direction sensitive as they would be in adults. However, there are other abilities that do develop later on in life. NT, which we have talked about before as being really critical for motion processing, is not fully developed until about 3 to 4 years of age. And we actually find that this is especially true for perceiving global motion. So last class, we kind of talked about the difference between overall global motion and local motion of specific features. The perception of global motion takes time. And interestingly enough, being able to notice biological motion actually develops even later than that. So there are some things that we develop relatively early, and there are some things that we develop relatively later. And so folks, that is all I have for you today. If you haven't taken quiz 6, it is open now. It is due on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And remember, we are not